They say the truth waits in silence, beneath the noise of the everyday world, beneath the static of fleeting ambitions and shallow pursuits. But sometimes, a whisper makes it through. A subtle pulse. A hidden book in a forgotten corner. A moment where the veil thins. That's where our story begins, right at the edge of everything you thought was real. A book not written in ink, but etched in the language of soul light, rumored to describe exactly what happens when we die, not as an end, but as a return. A homecoming to the purpose that birthed you. And in that revelation lies something even deeper. Before you can truly awaken to your spiritual purpose, before you unlock that mysterious door, you must pass through 10 sacred thresholds. These aren't tasks in the traditional sense, but inner metamorphoses. Internal realignments, quiet undoings. And in the next few moments, we'll unfold each one like a hidden page in that cosmic manuscript. So stay with me until the very end of this video, because there's something waiting for you on the other side. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel now, because together, we are decoding the invisible architecture of existence. But what does it mean to awaken anyway? The word has become a chant, a hashtag, a banner waved by countless seekers on the digital plains of today's spiritual frontier. But awakening, true awakening, is not a branding opportunity. It is a dismantling of all false scaffolding. It is the burning away of illusions so thoroughly that even your reflection begins to change. It is not comfortable. It is not aesthetic. It is real. And reality, when seen clearly, is never what we thought. Before awakening, there is often a haunting, not the ghostly kind, but a soft aching, a question that won't quiet, a sense that something crucial is being missed. You look around and realize that the world seems to be following a script you can no longer recite with conviction. The goals you chased seem hollow. The applause you once craved echoes strangely in your chest. That's not failure, that's the signal. The soul tapping gently on the walls of its cage, asking if perhaps it's time to fly again. Each of the 10 things we'll explore is a key, not in the material sense, but in the way a pattern unlocks the deeper logic of a labyrinth. These are not rules dictated by any one religion, philosophy, or system. They are truths hidden inside your own DNA. They are the patterns seen in ancient constellations, in sacred geometry, in dreams that refuse to fade. They are the same truths whispered by the mystics, encoded by the prophets, and buried beneath layers of distraction by the architects of a world more invested in your sleep than your waking. Because here's the real secret. The world we inhabit is not designed to help you awaken. It is designed to keep you entertained, busy, divided. You are given mirrors that reflect only the surface of your being. Social algorithms feed your ego but starve your soul. And amid the chaos, the sacred becomes silent, not because it is gone, but because it refuses to scream over the noise. Yet, the sacred waits, always. Like a lighthouse that does not chase ships but stands still in its brilliance, calling you back with unwavering patience. These 10 thresholds are not just concepts, they are invitations, rituals of becoming, each one asking you to lay down something old so that something new may rise in its place. And you won't be alone in this process. Others have walked this path, and others walk it still, often silently beside you, disguised as strangers, as chance encounters, as dreams you almost forgot. But don't be mistaken, this is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering someone ancient, someone who was never lost, only buried. You, the real you. The one who was there before names, before roles, before wounds. That version of you still hums beneath the mask. And awakening is the moment you hear the hum and follow it home. So let this not be a lecture, but a lantern. Let it guide not just your intellect, but the deeper compass that lives behind your ribs, the one that knows how to navigate without maps. We will speak of illusions, yes, but also of resurrection, of breaking patterns, of reclaiming divine memory, of preparing yourself to carry not just knowledge, but presence. Because that is what spiritual purpose ultimately is. The ability to live so fully in alignment with the infinite that even your breath becomes a sermon and your silence becomes a sanctuary. Before we go any further, pause just for a moment, breathe. Not the automatic kind, but the kind that signals your body that you are, in this moment, stepping across a threshold, a doorway that separates the noise from the knowing. You have been called here not by accident. Something inside you already knows the way forward. It only needed a mirror to remind itself. And so let us walk this together. Each step you take from here will not just illuminate what you must do, but who you must become. And if you listen, not just with your ears, but with your essence, you'll find that the map has always been within you, waiting. Awakening is not an act of learning, it is an act of remembering. And yet, to remember who you truly are, you must first understand what has caused you to forget. The world, beautiful as it is draped in veils. These veils are not malicious, but they are persistent. They are spun from societal narratives, generational wounds, inherited fears, and the illusions of separation. To awaken is to begin the slow and sometimes painful unraveling of these veils, to peel back the layers of what you are not, until what you are shines like fire beneath ash. At the core of this journey lies a paradox. The more you seek to become, the more you must let go. This is not the becoming that accumulates titles, possessions, or followers. This is the sacred unraveling, the dissolving of egoic scaffolding that was never meant to last. Like mist vanishing at sunrise, the identity built on fear, comparison, and control cannot withstand the light of awareness. Before you can awaken to your true spiritual purpose, you must meet yourself in the mirror. Not the polished mirror of curated identity, but the ancient mirror of raw essence. This mirror does not show you what others see. It shows you what is, your shadows, your patterns, your soul's blueprint. It does not flatter, but it liberates. And liberation, as many mystics have echoed, often comes not through ascension, but through descent, into the places we've been taught to avoid. Into the underworld of our psyche where our truest potential waits, misunderstood and ignored. There is a cosmic law that governs this path. Nothing false can accompany you through the gates of purpose. This is not a punishment, it is protection. The divine purpose you carry is not compatible with pretense. It vibrates at a frequency too high for lies to cling to it. And so, all things built on the sand of illusion must crumble before your true foundation can rise. This is why the journey toward awakening begins in what seems like chaos. Friendships fall away. Jobs feel hollow. Familiar comforts begin to itch. The systems that once gave you security start to rattle. You are not being punished. You are being recalibrated. The soul cannot thrive in places built on compromise. It demands authenticity, and authenticity is often birthed in fire. But even amidst the fire, there is a divine rhythm, a hidden architecture pulling everything into alignment. The discomfort you feel is not destruction, it is reassembly. Imagine a jigsaw puzzle being taken apart so it can be reconfigured into a clearer, more sacred image. This is not your undoing. This is your remaking. One of the most profound truths along this path is that everything external is a mirror. The people you attract, the patterns that repeat, the situations that provoke you, they are not accidents. They are symbolic holograms sent by your higher self to guide you toward what needs healing, reclaiming, or releasing. The toxic relationship, the recurring failure, the feeling of being stuck, these are not blockages. They are signposts. And when read correctly, they always point you back to power. Your spiritual purpose is not just a mission, it is a state of being. It is not something you do for the world, but something you embody so completely that the world shifts around you. It is the frequency you emit when you live in alignment with your deepest truth. And yes, there may be outer expressions, teaching, healing, building, but those are only shadows of the inner flame. The real purpose is the radiance that burns silently at the center of your being, transforming everything it touches. This is why the 10 things you must do before awakening are not external tasks. They are inward thresholds. They may look like forgiveness, courage, silence, or self-trust. But beneath each action is a metamorphosis of consciousness. You are not simply preparing to receive a calling, you are becoming the vessel through which that calling can flow. And that requires a clearing out, a spiritual composting. Everything outdated must be returned to the soil. Everything that no longer serves must be thanked and released. Another theme that echoes through this journey is the illusion of separation. Awakening begins when you start to sense that nothing is truly separate. Not you from the earth, not the mind from the body, not the soul from the stars. We are woven into a cosmic tapestry, and the moment you begin to sense the interconnectedness of all things, a great shift occurs. You start to live with reverence. You begin to speak with intention. Even your presence becomes medicine. This is not some lofty ideal. It is your default state, what you were designed to be before the noise arrived. And yet, many will resist this path. They will cling to familiarity, even if it hurts. They will mock the idea of divine purpose, even as they yearn for meaning. This too is part of the dance. Not all flowers bloom at the same time. You, however, are here, now, reading these words, feeling their resonance. That means the seed has already cracked open in you. The soil is warm, the light is near. We must also speak of time, not as a clock, but as a cycle. The journey toward awakening does not follow the linear trajectory we've been taught. It spirals. It deepens. You will revisit lessons. You will think you've healed something, only to meet it again at a deeper octave. That is not regression, it is refinement. Think of a sacred melody repeating, but each time played in a new key. That is the rhythm of awakening. You are not behind, you are not late. You are right on time with the universe's breath. And so, as we prepare to enter the deeper, symbolic heart of this exploration, remember, what you seek is already within you. These truths are not new. They are ancient memories stirring in the chambers of your soul, asking to be remembered. The soul does not awaken through instruction, it awakens through story. Because symbols speak the language of the soul, not the language of logic. They bypass the intellect and go straight to the essence. That is why, throughout time, every sacred tradition has leaned on allegory, parable, and myth. Not to entertain, but to transmit. To activate memory. To remind you that what you call you is only the surface of a vast and eternal being. Imagine now, not 10 tasks, but 10 doors. Each one guarded by a symbolic figure. Each one demanding something of you before it will let you pass. Not gold or offerings, but something subtler. A letting go. A shift of being. These guardians are not outside you. They are your own archetypal energies, parts of your soul cloaked in myth, so that you might better understand your own inner landscape. The first door, the veiled child. The first guardian you meet is a child wrapped in shadow. They do not speak, but their eyes ask everything. This is the child you once were, before the world told you who to be. To pass this threshold, you must reclaim the innocence you exiled. Not naivety, but wonder. You must lay down cynicism, the poison disguised as wisdom. The child hands you a mirror, and in it, you do not see a face, but a flame. This is the spark of original being, the untouched blueprint. Without it, nothing true can grow. The second door, the mirror of masks. Here stands a figure with 1,000 faces, each one melting into the next. This is the realm of identity, where the masks of achievement, personality, trauma, and ego jostle for dominance. To pass, you must peel away the masks not to find another face, but to find the space behind the face. The witness, the silence, the self that existed before the first label was ever pinned to your chest. The mirror cracks, and through the fracture, you glimpse the infinite. The third door, the river of letting go. A ferryman waits by the edge of a dark, slow-moving river. This is the place of release, the place where attachments, resentments, and griefs are brought to drown. You can only carry forward what you're willing to set down. The ferryman offers no words, only his hand. And when you step into the boat, you feel every old story begin to dissolve like ink in water. You emerge not empty, but clear. The fourth door, the labyrinth of contradictions. Here there is no guardian, only a vast, endless maze. Every turn reveals paradox, light and dark, truth and illusion, pain and joy, dancing as one. This is the realm where the mind breaks and the soul takes over. Logic will not guide you here, only intuition. You must surrender the need to understand and learn to trust without seeing. Those who rush are lost, but those who listen are led. The fifth door, the wounded healer. A figure waits, cloaked in tattered robes, light bleeding from their wounds. This is your pain made holy, every scar a scripture. They do not ask you to erase the past, but to integrate it, to stop hiding your brokenness and let it become your compass. The wound is not the enemy, it is the portal, the place where light first entered you. As you embrace this truth, the figure becomes radiant. The robe falls away. It is you, resurrected. The sixth door, the watcher in the tower. Now you ascend a spiraling tower. At its peak waits the watcher, still, silent, vast. This is the higher self, the observer untouched by drama or desire. It sees all, judges none. Here you are asked to witness your life from above, not to escape it, but to reclaim authorship. Every chapter was chosen, every detour was divine. And in seeing this, you step into sovereignty. Not control, but clarity. The seventh door, the temple of devotion. A great temple opens to you, filled with the scent of incense and the hum of invisible choirs. This is not devotion to a deity, but to presence. Here, you are asked to offer your attention, your most sacred currency, to something greater than self. The ego resists, but the soul kneels, and in that surrender you are filled with a stillness that no storm can shake. The eighth door, the Garden of Shadows. This garden blooms with strange and beautiful plants, each one grown from the compost of your denied aspects. Here you must face what you hate, what you fear, what you pretend not to be, not to destroy it, but to embrace it. The monster under the bed becomes your protector once seen clearly. The demon becomes an angel in disguise. Shadow integrated becomes power, and you walk forward, not cleansed, but whole. The ninth door, the empty throne. In a vast hall stands a throne, ornate, radiant, but unoccupied. It is not yours to claim, but to recognize. You are the vessel for something sacred. The throne is not about dominion, but stewardship. You are not a ruler, but a bridge between heaven and earth, between what is and what can be. When you kneel before the throne, you become worthy to sit in it, not with pride, but with reverence. The 10th door, the flame of purpose. The final door opens not to a room, but to a fire. This fire does not burn, it reveals. You step into it not to be destroyed, but to be seen. Here, everything false is burned away and only essence remains. The flame whispers your name, not the one you are given, but the one you are. And when you emerge, you are not someone new. You are someone true. These stories are not mythology, they are memory. They are the soul's autobiography written in symbols. When you hear them, something ancient in you stirs, because you have walked these halls before. In dreams, in lifetimes, in moments of silence between breaths. The symbols are not outside you, they are you. As we now prepare to bridge the symbolic with the practical, bringing these insights into the realm of daily life, remember, myth is not a fantasy. It is a map, and you are standing at the crossroads, torch in hand. Once the flame of symbolic knowing is kindled within, the question inevitably arises, but what now? How do these visions, the veiled child, the mirror of masks, the garden of shadows, translate into the world of alarms, conversations, emails, and bills? What good is cosmic insight if it cannot survive a Monday morning? The answer is not to escape the world, but to infuse it. Awakening is not a call to abandon daily life, but to inhabit it differently. To become an alchemist who walks through the ordinary and turns it into gold. The myths you've just encountered are not abstract archetypes suspended in another dimension. They are living patterns meant to be integrated into your relationships, your choices, your silences, and your acts of courage. They exist in the spaces between what is said and what is felt, between decision and action, between impulse and pause. Let us begin with the most immediate and visceral: presence. The first practical manifestation of spiritual awakening is not lightning bolts or levitation, it is radical presence. To be awake is to be here, not just physically but with your whole being. Most people live like ghosts in their own bodies, reacting instead of responding, speaking from conditioning instead of truth. But presence changes that. Presence listens more than it speaks. It touches the moment without trying to possess it. And this simple act, when practiced deeply, becomes transformational. It turns a conversation into communion. It turns a meal into a sacred offering. It turns a breath into a revelation. As you begin to live more from your center, you may notice resistance, not only from within, but from without. Those around you might sense your shift and not understand it. Old dynamics may crack and tremble. You may feel lonely, not because you are alone, but because your frequency no longer resonates with the noise. This is not rejection, it is refinement. You are becoming a tuning fork for truth, and anything out of tune will naturally fall away. Do not mourn what leaves. Bless it. It made space for something real. Awakening also affects how you move through decision-making. You no longer choose based on fear, but alignment. Not, will this make me safe or admired, but is this true to my essence? This kind of inner navigation takes practice. It requires slowing down, listening not just to your thoughts, but to the body's intelligence. The tightness in your chest, the whisper in your gut. These are your new compasses. And the more you follow them, the more you realize purpose is not a goal on a distant horizon. It is a path revealed one truth at a time. And yet, do not think that this path will always feel grand. Most of the work is quiet, invisible. It happens when you choose not to react, when you forgive before the apology, when you walk away from what dims your light, even if it promises comfort. It happens in the gentle no, the empowered yes, the sacred pause. These are not glamorous moments, but they are the soil where divine purpose blooms. Your relationships will become mirrors, perhaps more than ever before. Not mirrors for validation, but for self-awareness. The people who trigger you are showing you where you're still reactive. The ones who inspire you reveal your potential. The ones who hurt you teach boundaries. And those who love you without condition remind you what you're made of. See everyone as a teacher, and choose carefully whom you allow to shape your energy. The workplace, too, becomes a field of integration. You may not need to leave your job or change careers to live your purpose. Sometimes, awakening does call for a drastic shift, but not always. What matters more than what you do is how you do it. Do you bring integrity to your emails? Do you create beauty, even in tasks that feel mundane? Do you treat your coworkers as sacred beings rather than roles? Do you set boundaries not from resentment, but from self-respect? If you carry the fire of truth into your profession, your very presence becomes an agent of transformation, even if no one around you speaks the same language. One of the most powerful signs of integration is the ability to be still. In a world that worships movement, the one who can be still is the one who holds power. Stillness is not inactivity. It is the absence of noise. It is the clarity that emerges when you no longer need to chase the next thing to feel worthy. It is in stillness that you begin to remember, not with your mind, but with your being. You'll also find that your relationship to time begins to shift. The urgency that once dictated your pace loosens its grip. You stop measuring your worth by productivity. You start to sense the cycles, the seasons, not just in nature, but in yourself. There will be periods of blossoming and periods of rest. You'll learn to honor the winter within you as much as the spring. This rhythm is holy. Trust it. Then there's the body, often ignored in spiritual discussions, but it is perhaps your most direct portal to truth. The body holds your history. Every trauma, every joy, every silent scream and half-lived dream lives in your cells. As you awaken, you must listen to the body's messages. You may find yourself needing to move differently, eat differently, sleep more, speak less. This is not regression, it is recalibration. The body wants to be a clear channel for your soul's purpose. Treat it as your ally, not your obstacle. And finally, there is service. Not as obligation, but as overflow. When your cup is full, it spills, and what it spills becomes healing for others. True purpose is never selfish. It is always an offering. And it doesn't require a platform or an audience. Sometimes it's the way you hold space for someone in pain, the way you greet a stranger with sincerity, the way you pray for someone who would never ask. The world needs fewer performers and more presences, and your presence, when aligned, becomes a lighthouse for others still searching for the shore. So yes, awakening can look mystical and otherworldly, but its true beauty lies in the everyday, in how you choose to show up, in how you love, in how you speak, in how you live. And now that you've glimpsed how myth becomes movement and vision becomes vibration, there comes a moment in every journey when the map is no longer needed, when the teachings have been absorbed not as information, but as transformation, when the symbols no longer stand outside of you, but awaken within you like sleeping seeds cracking open. You are no longer the seeker, you are the flame. And this, right here, is that moment. If you have followed the trail through presence, shadow, myth, and integration, then you already sense it. Something has shifted. Not loudly, not with trumpets or lightning, but with the quiet gravity of truth. You have not simply learned about the 10 things you must do before awakening to your spiritual purpose. You have begun to live them, even if imperfectly, even if with trembling hands. That alone is sacred. Let us return now to the first whisper, the mysterious book that reveals what happens when we die. Perhaps you realize by now that the book was never buried in some ancient monastery or locked away by secret societies. The book was always within you, etched into your bones, inked in the language of vibration. It reveals its chapters not when you cross the veil of death, but when you cross the veil of unconsciousness. And you've just crossed it, because to awaken is to die before death, not physically but spiritually. It is the death of illusion, of smallness, of forgetfulness. It is the death of the false self so that the eternal self may rise unbound. And that rising is not a one-time event. It is a way of life. 1,000 small deaths followed by 1,000 tiny resurrections until your soul becomes fluent in the language of light. And what of your spiritual purpose? What does it look like now? Now that you've walked through the 10 hidden doors, it may still feel unclear, and that's okay. Purpose is not a product to define, it is a vibration to embody. It is not what you do for approval, it is who you become in devotion. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to become the kind of presence through which the world remembers itself. Through your eyes, your stillness, your fire, your love. This is your invitation, not to become something more, but to remember something ancient. You are not being asked to chase destiny, you are being asked to embody it. Every breath is a note in your soul's song. Every action, no matter how small, echoes in the unseen. And in that sacred echo, the universe listens and responds. You are not separate from the cosmic rhythm. You are the drumbeat, the wind, the silence between stars. So let this be your moment of sacred return. Return to the child who still believes in wonder. Return to the soul that trusts in purpose. Return to the body as temple. To the earth as teacher. To the heart as compass. Let the myths guide you not to fantasy, but to fierce clarity. Let the symbols dissolve into substance. Let the silence between words speak louder than any sermon. You have passed through the 10 thresholds, not as a checklist, but as a rebirth. And if you feel uncertain, soft, vulnerable, that is perfect. Awakening is not armor. It is exposure. It is standing bare before the infinite and saying, "Here I am. I remember now. I'm ready." You may still walk through fear, but now you'll walk with it, not under it. You may still doubt, but doubt will be the gateway to deeper trust. You may still fall, but now even your falling will be sacred, because you know how to rise. This is your call, not to climb, but to root, not to prove, but to become. The world is not waiting for another hero. It is waiting for you to show up as fully, wildly, divinely you, without the mask, without the apology, with the fire of your spiritual purpose blazing quietly in your chest. So take the next step, not as the old you, but as the one who has remembered. Step into the life that's been waiting for your courage. Step into the world not to be seen, but to see. Not to conquer, but to connect. Not to possess, but to pour out.